All right, welcome to another episode of Can You Connect? And I am Mr.WalkThatWalk, and we're going to be doing another video. And this one is going to be on dating someone, and let's say y'all are going to have different ages. So maybe one person is 20 or 50, or it could be older. Some people maybe is 60 or 30. So we're going to go over different couples and go over their experiences with dating somebody from in a different age group. The first one is going to be a older black woman. She is dating, the person she's dating is 23 years old. She ended up being introduced to him by a friend. However, due to the age gap, she didn't, let's say, have a respect for him. So she would say names like call him like a little boy and things to those extent. And however, due to him being consistent and consistently wanting to be with her, he kind of maybe seen through that, and through that experience, she kind of grew to learn to respect him. So she doesn't really call him names anymore. Even though she was cautious at first talking to him, worried about him maybe taking advantage of her because she's older. And but she doesn't want to get married, so they're in a situation where it's like a open relationship. And this is due to her being in marriages where it didn't really work for her. She felt maybe more controlled and caged down, and now she feels like she has freedom to do the things that she wants to do. But she also said that she had to work on other things, not just her respecting him, but her also not being bossy towards him as well, you know. So all those things was like a learning experience because, her son was around his age or is around her boyfriend's age. So she had to work on not mothering him and treating him like a spouse. All right, our next couple is going to be this is another African American woman. She is 59 and her boyfriend is in his 30s. She mentioned that he will often try to approach her, try to, get her attention, and she wasn't trying to really pay him any mind. Um, but, I guess he kind of weighed her down. So at a certain point, they started talking, but and when she started like gaining feelings and emotion towards him, she started getting worried due to she didn't want him to be deprived of having kids because she was older and she wasn't, she didn't want to have any more kids. And so, but he kept reiterating to her that he wasn't interested in having kids and he was okay. And it was also kind of iffy with the parents as well. So the parents were, let's say, they didn't want any conflict because some parents, they're open to it, but some are not open to like an age gap, like relationship or marriage. And with her family in particular, she had to do a lot of meet and greets with her family because they were a bit maybe dismissive of him and dismissive to be like, oh, like maybe they don't believe that that much of a younger person is going to take her serious. So, he really had to prove himself to her family to prove that they were serious. But his family, I believe, they were pretty open. They weren't as kind of blocked off or, they was willing to give her a chance. Rather than her family, they kind of had to work him down. And even on a wedding day, she sent him a note saying, "Are you sure you want to get married?" Because she really wanted him to be able to have kids and have that experience. Because she had that experience, and she wanted him to have that as well. So she was really worried about that. But again, he was fine. He's not worried. He wasn't worried about it, and and it seems like they're doing pretty well. There's another couple. So now we're hearing the perspective from somebody else. This is the younger man who's a reverend or pastor, I believe, and he's dating an older woman. They're African American. He mentioned wanting somebody mature and wanting his woman to trust that he's going to lead them in the right direction. Now, that took time because she is older, so he had to work on that because it takes time to prove yourself, especially if somebody that's older, to be like, oh yeah, I can lead us the right way. He didn't want to date somebody with a huge age gap because I think they're about maybe 8 or 7 years apart in age, I believe. So they're not too big of an age gap. He wanted somebody in the same era because he wanted things to have in common. Because sometimes if it's really big gaps, sometimes you don't really have a lot of things in common because certain generations grew up a different way. And let's see. Our next couple is going to be a African American woman who's dating a 28-year-old. And this person in particular, he didn't really have anything. So she kind of built him up in a sense to the point where it seemed like she was taking things serious, but he wasn't. So this one's kind of messy. He didn't really, they were dating, but he didn't marry her, and he was cheating on her. So they stopped talking, and then he got married, moved to Georgia, and then she kind of followed him to Georgia. And, then he started cheating on his wife with her, so it was a lot. Like, their story is like very messy story, but it's maybe due to the older woman maybe feeling like maybe she doesn't have a lot of options or have people to talk to. So whoever she did have to talk to, which was him, she kind of clinged to him, is what it seemed like. To the point where he ended up getting a divorce from his from the wife that he did marry, and then he ended up moving back home, and then she moved back home, but then they're still meeting, but it's not something serious. So maybe she thought that he was going to marry her, but it seems like, get the divorce and then marry her. But it seems like from what he's saying, it seems like he's not really interested in doing that. He's going to allow her to, he's going to probably keep using her as much as he can until she tell him no. Our next couple is going to be a Caucasian lady. She is 48 years old, and the person she is dating is 24. So she mentioned going through a long marriage. She was married for married or in a relationship for like 26 years, and was feeling a bit down about herself after everything broke apart. And then she ended up meeting the 24-year-old guy, and they started talking, and then she started feeling a bit better. But she works at a school, and she's online too, so she's on social media. And you know how social media is. Social media will get you in trouble if you allow it to. So she posted a video that was kind of flirtatious with this younger guy, which is the 24-year-old. And her kids seen it, the school seen it, to the point where she had to take him to the school to prove that he was not a teenager and he was of age. So it's stuff you gotta be careful about when you mess with social media and you're not doing something that's in the norm. Why? Because people are going to scrutinize things or say things that's not what it is. And at times, let's say, there are situations a little iffy too, because she questions him being faithful, because he mentioned that he kind of likes there's another person he dibbles on, so they both on really social media, so he dibbles on social media as well, and he, let's say, likes other posts, maybe it's younger women, so that makes her feel a bit self-conscious because she's a bit older, and now she's like worried about what he's doing or where he's going or who he's with, because she thinks he might be unfaithful. So their situation is a bit messy as well. But he did say that he deleted his social media. But, just like you could delete it, you could open it back up. So, well, some people have a bit of a mess. Let's see. So we have another couple who is... Oh, okay. So these are younger men dating older women. And the women express that the younger men are, let's say, emotionally intelligent, so they cater to how they feel, and they're not really worried about the men taking care of them financially, because they're providing in another way, let's say, emotionally, spiritually, or mentally. So, having somebody to have that back and forth conversation, having somebody who's empathetic, having somebody who's in tune with themselves. So they mentioned those were more important than being financially taken care of. Plus, they're older, so they can already take care of themselves and probably them. And let's say, so this is a guy who, well, this is actually one of the guys from Hardly Initiated. We're just getting like different perspective. Like, his perspective was that younger women are more cooperative. They give you grace, and they don't have negative experiences. So some of the young ones didn't have negative experiences with men, because sometimes, if you have a bunch of, let's say, negative experiences, maybe you could get jaded and feel a type of way about, let's say, the opposite sex. And so that's him as an older person dating a younger woman. And we're going to go over a younger lady who's dating older men. So she mentioned that older men are teaching her how to communicate how she feels, and are usually kind and gentle, which made her want to, be better for him. and that was a Caucasian young girl. And there was another girl that kind of had a different scenario. She was like happy about not being able, not having to pay for anything, but also the older guy being a gentleman, so opening the doors, bringing flowers, taking her out on dates. So maybe the people her age was not taking her out on dates or doing those things with her. Let's see. And this is another couple, which is a young guy and an older woman. The guy felt as though he thought he was like maybe a piece of meat to the woman he started dating, and I guess her friends when they first met. And they used to be at the gym a lot, and that's how they ended up meeting. She kind of took a minute to pick up that he was flirting with her, so sometimes, let's say maybe the older generation may not catch a hint. Maybe sometimes that happens. And she thought it wasn't really going to last that long. She thought it was just going to be something fun, but they ended up, and she didn't have expectations, so she got surprised that they kind of continued being in contact and talking to each other and really growing and having a relationship from it. Because she really just wanted, because she already was married, already had kids, so she wasn't really looking for anything serious. And the other couple we're going to do is a black couple, which is a younger guy who's 28 and an older woman who's 45. And he mentioned not noticing her age yet, maybe because some of us look a bit younger, even though we're older, especially if we do a lot of good self-care. He really wasn't worried about the age gap, even when he found out. And, some people were not as supportive of them, due to the age gap. But, people come around when they see somebody's going to be consistent and they're always showing up. So those are good things as well, especially if you're always showing up and you're always there. It's kind of goes in your favor in that way. People see that you're serious. And I think this would be our last one. This is a Caucasian couple with the girl being 20 and the guy being 51 years old. So he reported there was a car accident, and he was the police that was responding to the car accident that was supporting her because she didn't really have anybody in town and she was new in town. But the police report was taking a while, so you had to kind of stay in contact with her and give her updates about the police report. And then at a certain point, he started inviting her out to certain events, like some of his work events, because he needed somebody to come out with him. And, maybe the people, some of his friends didn't have the time. So she showed up to certain events, and then through going to those events and hanging out, it kind of grew into something. However, she mentioned due to some people giving her negative feedback, she kind of panicked about the relationship and just kind of broke it off. But she ended up coming back because she really did, love the guy. So they really, still together and still, working on improving things. That's it for the couples and the people's perspectives. The main things I'll say about it is due to the person being older, people have to be aware of, since they are older, you're not going to have the same time with them like you would have with somebody your age. So you may end up losing them, and you may be dealing with a lot of grief because of you're losing that partner. And not only are you losing the partner, if you have kids with them, then the kids are losing them as well. So that's just something to keep in mind, because that's a lot of pain and grief and hurt to be going through. Because oftentimes when a spouse does pass away, sometimes, often or not, the other spouse also passes away sometime, because at a certain point they just stop moving forward. So I would say those are definitely precautions, because it's going to affect the spouse and it's going to affect the kids if kids are involved. Because especially if both of them are older. So imagine you got kids, and the kids don't even really get to have a long experience with their parents, because let's say they're having you and they're in their 60s or 50s, or like just way older than normal. So now the kids are dealing with grief of not having any of their parents around, because they had them at a very late stage. So I think just being aware of that and understanding everything that comes with it, because we go over, are we a match or do we fit? No, like, can you deal with this person? Can you deal with this situation if this arises? Are you aware of this situation? So I think being aware of those things is different. There's different expectations. You may not be having kids. You may not be having a whole family with them. So as long as you're aware of these things and understand these things, then I feel like it could be good, and everybody's on the same page, it could go well. But you also got to be aware of, let's say, the person taking advantage of the older person, the person cheating, the younger person cheating on somebody that's else is younger, and not, because they are dating somebody older. So being aware of where that person is, and are they really ready to be in a relationship, or are they just here for alternative reasons? So I feel like those are the important things. You don't want to move in a situation just because you don't have someone. You want to move in a situation because it's right for you. So these are just certain things to keep in mind and be aware of. So we could definitely check back in next week. And of course, we're going to be supporting Black-owned businesses. There's a YouTuber who grows his own fruit and vegetables, so I'll put his information in the description. And there is a social worker. Myself, I'm a clinical social worker for the state of Maryland, so I provide therapy in the state of Maryland. So you can just send me an email. And of course, there is a person who does the music, the intro and the outro of the video. So there's that. And yeah, so y'all definitely have a good one.